Hello everyone, I am Frans, and in this tutorial we're going to look at animations. Now, before we start, we're going to look at two different animations we're going to create here. So the first animation is this little alien. I created a sprite sheet which contains 4 different sprites of the same alien, which should resemble some kind of walking animation. Now these individual frames are 32 by 32, and we're going to use this sprite sheet for our animation. And the other one is going to be a different type of animation. We're going to create some kind of scrap metal, and the purpose of this animation is that it's going to float above the ground or something like that. So it has to be some kind of going down and going up again. And how we'll achieve that, I'll explain later. So let's first start off by loading up our sprite sheet. So let's say private sprite sheet, and let's call this alien sheet. Now I have to import that and create a new sprite sheet. Now our alien sprite sheet is located in the data folder. There we go. And we have to supply it with the size of the frames or the sprites. So that's 32 by 32. Now what we can do is we can draw this sprite sheet, but we want to use the sprite sheet for our animation. Now Slick2D has something called the animation class, and let's call this alien animation, and make sure to import it. Let's create a new animation. Now if we press Ctrl and spacebar at the same time, we get this list of different constructors the animation has. As you can see, you can create an empty animation, and you can also create an animation based off a list of frames or an array of frames. But we're going to use this method here, this constructor, which has the sprite sheet and the duration between each frame. So basically, how long will a frame be displayed before it jumps to the next one. So let's do that, and we have to supply it with the alien sheet, and let's say 100 milliseconds before it jumps to the next one. Now I'm not sure how much exactly we're going to put here, but let's just start off with something. And what we now have to do is we have to draw our animation, and you do that by simply calling the draw method. And as you can see, it has a few draw methods that are also available to the image. It doesn't have all of them, but as you can see, the basic ones are all here, and you shouldn't really need much more. So we're going to draw it at, let's say 100, 100. And let's see what happens. Now as you can see, the animation is already running now, but it doesn't really seem like 100 milliseconds between each frame. Now this is because we didn't put an update to the animation. So it's just gonna update itself, but if we supply it with the delta, it actually knows how fast our game is running and how fast it should update. So as you can see, it's running a lot faster now because we supplied it with the duration. So it's one thing to remember that's really important to update your animation, otherwise it might not run at the speed that you want it to run. And this is because the delta, as you probably know by now, is based off how much time was there between the frames. So keep that in mind, and let's just lower this a little bit because it's going way too fast for a walking animation. Let's run it again. And look at that. That looks fine to me. So really simple to use, the animation, and you can use, well, as many frames as you really want. The way it works is uses the first frame, waits 200 milliseconds, jumps to the next one, repeat, and when it gets to the last one, it will start over all the way back to the first one. Now there's also a lot of other methods that's available to the animation. For example, you can add frames, you can also get the frames, like if you want to get the last frame, in this case the fourth frame, you can get that by using the getFrame method. Keep in mind that it counts from 0, so it's going to be the third frame for the last one. And there's also a lot of different methods, like getting the speed. You can also set the speed, but you can also stop and start the animation, which is really nice, and even restart it from the first frame. And one method that's really useful is set ping pong. Now basically what this does is, if we go and look at the second animation here, it's gonna start from this, then to that, then to the third one, and then to the fourth one. And remember that when we didn't use the ping pong, it went from the fourth one back to the first one. However, as you might guess, the ping pong means is that once you get to the last one, it will go backwards toward the first one. So, for example, in this animation, if I would not use the ping pong, I would just get 2 extra frames here, 3 extra frames actually, that I would have to paste additionally in my image. Now if I want to edit the frames, it's gonna be 3 extra frames to edit, which sucks basically. So the ping pong is really nice, and let's just use it. Let's create a new sprite sheet. Let's call it a scrap sheet. New animation. And I have to create them. And this is also available over here. So sprite sheet. And this one is also 32 by 32. As you can see at the bottom of a paid program here, it says it's 128 by 32, and 128 divided by 32 is 4, which is the 4 frames. And let's create the animation. And again, supply it with the right sheet. And let's put this at 200 as well. Now let's just see what happens without the ping pong. Make sure we update it so it actually runs at the proper frame rate. And let's draw it right next to our alien. So restart our game. As you can see, without the ping pong, it's only going up, then resetting to the first frame, which is not really nice. Actually, it's going down and then back to the first frame. Excuse me. Now, with the ping pong, you can simply say set ping pong on true. And what happens now is that, as you can see, it transitions up, down, or from the frames perspective, from left to right, right to left, left to right. Now, you can also have the sprite sheets from down to up, up or down. As long as it's a proper sprite sheet, the animation can go with the sprite sheet. So that's the basic animation for you there. Really easy to use. It's really easy to have your character animation in the same sprite sheet, and it's also very common that people use this kind of animation in 2D games. So I hope you learned something from this and liked the video, and see you next time where I'm gonna explain how to use a tiled map in Slick2D. So, bye bye.